morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at some pretty big new reveals from Stellar Crown, and with pre-releases starting this weekend, this is probably the last video we're going to do, looking at a set of big new reveals from Stellar Crown, because, well, give it a few days, we'll see the entire set. But for now, we got some new cards to talk about, and I'm just going to put it out there. I'm pretty excited about these. And let's start off with a particularly good A-Spec. We've got Sparkling Crystal. Sparkling Crystal is an awesome card. When you attach it to a Terra Pokemon, their attacks cost 1 less energy. But it's 1 less energy of any type. It's not 1 less colorless energy, it's 1 less of any energy. And this, I mean, there's so many Pokemon we can use this for. One of my first reactions here is Dragapult. Dragapult with this is brilliant, because Dragapult, great Pokemon. It's only a 2 energy attack. It's a phenomenal attack, 200 to the active, drop 6 damage counters on your opponent's bench, but it's for a fire and a psychic. It's a little bit awkward. But here, attach this, single energy, boom. You're rolling in one go. There's other things like Charizard. Now, Charizard, of course, accelerates energy to itself, so it's much less important in Charizard, but it still turns that into a single energy attacker. But then we've got these new Stellar Terra Pokemon that have 3 different types of energy in one of their attacks. That's kind of the hook. You know, take something like Terrapago's really nice attack, and it stops damage coming from non-colorless basic Pokemon, but it's for 3 different types of energy. It's super annoying. Well, yeah, this takes away one of those types of energy. And I know that some people want to play Terrapagos with just basically double turbo to use Unified Beatdown, and that's legit. People have been winning with that over in Japan. It's not a bad way to play, but I'm just saying this second attack is really good, and being able to take advantage of it could be good. There are lots of Terra Pokemon out there that can take advantage of this. This is a phenomenal A-Spec, and it's the usual thing, like, it is still an A-Spec. So, if you're using this, you're not playing Prime Catcher, and you're not playing Unfair Stamp. There are some really, really good A-Specs around right now, and you're only allowed 1 in your deck. So I understand why some people might not play this, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have huge potential. Love this card. Big fan. Another card I am absolutely in love with is Iron Boulder. And look, I'm a Terrakion fanboy, so the future version of Terrakion is always going to be something I am drawn to. But I'm telling you right now, this new Iron Boulder is legit. 2 energy, 170. If you don't have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent, this attack does nothing. Okay. But if you do have the same number of cards in hand as your opponent, it does 170 for 2 energy. Yes, this can absolutely work in Gardevoir decks as a single prize attacker, but they do have a lot of other options as it is. I like this better in other kind of decks. I like this in Xatu decks. You only need to accelerate 1 energy. Xatu accelerates energy while drawing prizes. That sounds like a win to me. So that's pretty nice. Or use it in future decks with stuff like Miraidon, for instance, which can accelerate the energy quite nicely. Or things like Reboot Pod, another A-Spec, which, I'll be honest with you, it's good, but even in future decks, it's not really seeing much play, so take that with a pinch of salt. And fine, we've got to match hand size with our opponent, but for goodness sake, Judge is still in the format. Just play Judge. Or if you're behind in the game, play something like an Iono, for instance, and then just play a card or 2. And then you'll be at the same number of cards and you'll be fine. I don't think matching hand size is going to be that difficult. You know, I've just mentioned about things like Xatu. Well, Xatu draws you 2 cards for attaching an energy. That's a +1. There's so many ways to add a card or remove a card or whatever. I don't think it's going to be that difficult if you really want to do this. I'm not saying build the entire deck around it. I am saying use it as a single prize attacker in stuff like Xatu decks, like Future Box decks, etc. I love this card. I legitimately love this card. I am 100% going to be testing this in a bunch of decks. I just think it's neat. Now, we do also have a Raging Bolt coming, nice little counterpart. My other favourite of the Paradox Pokemon, they're probably my favourite Future and Ancient. And I'll be honest with you, this one I don't like nearly as much. Free Energy 110 is fine, but it's a little bit awkward. And 2 energy, 30 to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy attached to this Pokemon. Yes, this can be a single prize attacker in Raging Bolt EX decks, no question about that. But 130 for free energy, firstly, it's not amazing. Secondly, you're using stuff like Professor Sada's Vitality here to get this card rolling. And they're resources that could be used on your EX. And you're probably taking one prize and losing all that energy. Yes, sure, you can snipe for a whole bunch of damage here. Pile a bunch of energy on this and then do a big old snipe. That will work. But my issue here is you've got 130 HP. You're pretty energy hungry. And then you're going to end up in an awkward situation where you whack all the energy on. And then you lose all the energy. And that's a downside. So look, I'm not saying it's bad. But I am saying Iron Boulder, I love Raging Bolt. It's alright. But it is just alright. Another card I think is pretty gosh darn fun is Phalanx here. Now, firstly, note that it is all colourless energy. All colourless energy is good. All colourless energy means that we can put this into any deck we like, which is a massive, massive advantage. But what we've got here is the first attack that for a single energy gets 2 basic Pokemon onto your bench. It's fine, but let's not pretend we've not seen that on other Pokemon before. We've seen that on plenty of other Pokemon before. But what else we've got here is for 2 energy, i.e. you add 1 to the previous energy you've already attached, 30 damage, but if you use Form Ranks during your last turn, it does 90 more. So turn 1, use Form Ranks to go and get a couple of basic Pokemon. That'll do nicely. Turn 2, you go and use All Out Attack to do 120. That's not a bad first couple of turns. I'm not going to pretend that this is a phenomenal game-breaking card. But I absolutely am going to pretend that this is a good card, that this is a viable card, and that this is one that you can use in a bunch of decks. And I'm also saying, in a pre-release, yes, this is really, really strong in a pre-release. So you have been warned, ladies and gentlemen. You have been warned. Use it in your pre-release. Seriously. Use it in your pre-release. Cool. Now, we've also got Briar. Briar's a weird one because we already had the full art revealed. And I'm going to mention that we've got the regular one here because the regular one's been revealed. However, I do need to tell you we have previously looked at the full art in English. So, very quick reminder on Briar. It's a supporter card that you can only use if your opponent has exactly 2 prizes remaining. But if you take a KO of a Terra Pokemon on your opponent's active, you take an extra prize. Charizard decks, they're playing this as a one-off. Dragapult decks, they're playing this as a one-off. Do please remember, Dragapult only gets the extra prize if it KOs the active with the 200 damage, not any bench Pokemon with dropping damage counters. That will not then activate the extra prize being taken. Very important to note. Terrapagos is probably going to play 1 copy of this. And remember the ruling, very relevant in Charizard decks that are probably playing both. If you play this, and then you use something like Dusknoir to give your opponent a prize so that they then only have 1 prize card remaining, as long as you played this card when your opponent had 2 prize cards remaining, it stays activated even if your opponent then goes down to 1 prize card remaining. That is an official rule that was made over in Japan. It is very important and it is awesome. Makes things a lot more fun, frankly. A lot more fun. The other card we can have a little bit of a look at here is Dashburn EX. I like Dashburn EX. It's got a really nicely named ability, Time to Chow Down. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may heal all damage from each of your evolution Pokemon, and if you healed any damage in this way, discard all energy from this Pokemon. It's Cheryl. It's literally Cheryl. It does exactly the same thing as Cheryl, but instead of being a supporter card, it is an ability on a Pokemon, which means it is probably easier to search out, but can be turned off because abilities can be turned off. And look, any deck where Cheryl would have been good, this now can be good. It's only going to be good in situations where you need to heal a bunch of evolution Pokemon, but I keep telling you about decks like Charizard and Dragapult in this video. Well, yeah, they have massive HP and are not going to be one-hit KO'd all that often. Something like this could help. Now, are you going to take the space in your deck to actually use this? I'm not 100% sure. I'm just saying it is an option. For me, I'm going to be honest with you, Iron Boulder. That is the card here that I am most excited about. I'm going to be playing around with some Psychic decks because I'm very excited, but I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely William Shaw, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.